Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Bitcoin supply on exchanges has fallen to a 7-year low. So guys, we haven't actually seen Bitcoin lows get this low on exchanges. So this is exchanges specifically for the last 5 years. That would bring us to 2018, which we don't even have here on the chart. As you guys can see, the lows were fairly low at the end of 2022. That was, when Bitcoin price was at its lowest at the beginning of the cycle. And now, guys, we're actually clocking in even lower lows for Bitcoin. So, if there's demand for Bitcoin moving forward, that means, price should push up even higher. We've been seeing a steady increase for Bitcoin after it did hit $107,000 per coin. That was back earlier this month at the beginning of September. We did see that double bottom. Then Bitcoin did bounce up, creating a situation where we are now starting to see higher highs and higher lows. So this is all positive news on the micro time frame. I guess I should say this is Bitcoin on the 1-hour chart. Now we're just kind of trading sideways here, looking for some direction for Bitcoin. This is, it's always this way. We start to see a direction, we get very optimistic, and then Bitcoin or whatever asset you're looking at tends to stall out sometimes, and we're waiting for more volume to come in. At this point in time, we're not seeing a lot of heavy volume. The market is fairly flat. We need a big voluminous event like we did see right over here. Okay, that was October, November 2024. Of course, that's what got cryptocurrencies pumping for the first time in a while at that point. We did top out there. Now, just at the beginning of the month, as I had mentioned, 107 for one Bitcoin, retesting that level. And hopefully we do see a next wave to the upside very, very soon. So this is... What was I going to show you guys here? No, not that. Let's see, 2-hour chart. No, I mean, you can't really see it here. I was going to just demonstrate that even on the, it's just this last little bit in here. And it is, we haven't seen too many bullish days in a row. So it is falling a little bit. We are still forming what is looking like a bullish pennant pattern on low volume. So that's good, guys. Market cap is back up to 4 trillion. So that is also a psychological level that I think we should be paying attention to, that definitely people in the space are paying attention to. Fear and greed, though, smack dab in the middle. Again, I'm happy with neutral, at least at this moment. We are waiting for that next bullish push, and I will take neutral all day long. Altcoin season favoring altcoins right now, but I think that's going to change for a bit. I think it's going to favor Bitcoin once we do see that big push, that final push to the upside, dare I say. Then altcoins will likely follow. Even Tom Lee's favorable on Q4 2025 for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Listen to this.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think they could make a monster move in the next 3 months, like huge.
If we were to say Ethereum, Bitcoin, we try to bucket them into risk-averse assets or risk-on type assets.
Yeah.
Is it fair to look at them that way? We used to compare them correlation-wise to the NASDAQ 100. Is that the fair assessment for how these things trade in the coming months?
Yes. Bitcoin is particularly monetary policy liquidity sensitive. Ethereum has elements of being sensitive to liquidity, but it's also part of this AI moving onto the blockchain and Wall Street moving onto the blockchain and that whole stablecoin ChatGPT moment for crypto. So Ethereum, I think, trades almost like 1971 Wall Street, which was the dollar went off the gold standard, a lot of innovation. Ethereum essentially is a growth protocol, and that's why Bitmine is so aggressively acquiring Ethereum.
It's funny, we're hearing all this talk about Ethereum recently. Let's bring up the Ethereum chart. Ethereum has been a dog's breakfast for most of the crypto cycle, and then it recently just started waking up. So this is Ethereum on the weekly chart, and as you guys can see, Ethereum is also flirting with that all-time high. It did tap the all-time high just a few weeks ago back in mid-August. Along with Ethereum, though, other cryptocurrencies like Solana are good indicators of where altcoin season is going to go next. We already tapped that level from back in 2021, late 2021. Solana has tapped that level, double tapped that level actually. So now it's coming up for the third time. Guys, these are just some of the factors that I'm considering over there at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Pinpointing the top is not going to be easy, and so I'm using several different indicators. I'm actually going to be doing a sum up video for my Patreon subscribers. Over the last few months, I've been bringing up several different factors, metrics, identifiers, and going over them in more detail. Well, the sum up video is coming very soon. Patreon.com/workingmoneychannel for those of you guys interested in the bigger picture, what I'm looking at to pinpoint the top of this bull market. And then some things throw us for a loop like this. Sento Sumo Saba posted this. I had a quick conversation with an OG chart master yesterday and mentioned my hope for the XRP spot ETFs to translate to correlated price action. And I feel like a lot of us were thinking this for XRP. Don't get your hopes up, guys, because this is what she found out, okay? I was reminded to look at net inflows and outflows of spot Bitcoin ETFs because that's not always what you might think. And he was correct. There are times when ETF inflows were strong and the price of Bitcoin went down. So that is not great. When we did see inflows for Bitcoin coming in, price went down, like down and around here. We did see price decline in and around here. And then just after that, we did see price continue to go down as net inflows were also tapering off, but it was preceded by a lot of net inflows for these Bitcoin spot ETFs. Also, guys, we got to consider the run-up for XRP ETFs. The anticipation is here. So that means that a lot of people are anticipating that we are going to see high price moves. And so, leading up, I'm guessing in the next few weeks, if we do see XRP price in the next few weeks, because we are expecting the ETFs to be approved by mid-October. So even if we do see this by, this is the hourly chart. Let's throw that on the, actually, I'm going to throw it on the daily for you guys, just to show you guys where my mind is at here. If we do, in fact, see over the next few weeks, XRP price move, kind of up in this level for here up until, right up until the deadline for the ETFs, that is to be expected as well. But it would really just be, the equivalent of FOMO here. We do need to actually have more concrete examples of money flowing in, like Fed rate cuts. And Ted here saying it's happening in just 2 days. JP Morgan and other big major analysts are expecting a market dump before a reversal. So that's some interesting news. BTC will dump towards 104 before the reversal. So 104 for Bitcoin brings it up just under the former resistance level from the high that we witnessed back in December. Another scenario brings it even lower. But the Fed rate cuts, guys, Quentin here is also saying the same. It could mean Bitcoin dips down. Eventually, though, what it also means is that cash floods into the market. And I want to bring up this Jungle Inc. tweet again. A few people have been asking about rate cuts and what's going to happen to the market. I think this is a really good illustration of that. Basically, what Jungle Inc. is saying here, many different examples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different examples of when the Fed did cut rates within the last 100 years. And then, it was good for a little period of time, for a short period, and then eventually we did see a market collapse. So we have to be prepared for what is happening in the macro, and that's why I have the Patreon, patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. If you do not believe this could be another 4-year cycle, well, join the Patreon. We talk about all that over there. Wanted to thank Jungle Inc. Wanted to thank Quentin, Ted here, Crypto Eddie. We got to thank Altcoin Daily, and of course, Cointelegraph for posting those. Another doom and gloom scenario for Bitcoin. Investor and trader Gareth Soloway believes Bitcoin is headed back 30 to 50%. Now, he's not really clear on the timeline, although he does say by Q1 of 2026, we could start to see this decline. This falls in line with 4-year cycle, guys. So are we still going to be in this 4-year cycle? Listen to this.
So I do think, I can't tell you where it's going to be in 10, 15 years from now, but after a correction that I do think we are close to, and I will go on record and say I do think Bitcoin's going back to at least $75,000 a coin, probably by early 2026. But I do think at some point it goes a lot higher, and then we'll just have to see how the whole world-ending type scenario comes into play with it. But I do think that, again, society is craving an alternative to fiat currencies, and Bitcoin is that answer for now, along with gold, and people are willing to accept it. And as long as people accept it and can access it freely, then that still has a place in the future.
That's a pretty big statement. You see Bitcoin pulling back to $75,000 by 2026?
Yeah, and probably I would say within the first quarter of 2026, even cutting myself even lower here.
You wouldn't see a massive rally on the rate cuts? More liquidity, or then as the market starts to sell off, I guess the correlation has always been there. Is that what you would see happening with Bitcoin?
That's more what I see is the correlation, right? So if we look at 2021, when we had the bear market in the stock market, we obviously saw Bitcoin falling all the way below 20,000. I don't think it's going to fall as much because you have a much more diversified group of holders, including big players like BlackRock. But I do think, you're talking if the stock market corrects 20 or 30%, Bitcoin likely corrects 30 to 50%. from these levels.
That falls in line with the diminishing returns theory. That falls in line with 4-year cycle theory. Again, this is Bitcoin on the daily. And, as you guys have probably noticed in, former bull runs, if you are a chartist or maybe just a chart enthusiast and like checking out charts, like, fiddling around with these metrics here, 77% in the last bull run. That was not as much as what happened when Bitcoin did decline in 2018, 2019. That was about 84%. So what Gareth Soloway is saying, when we do see that high for Bitcoin, first of all, what's that high going to be? We really don't know at the moment, but, we could, in fact, see, 50, 60%, 65%. Maybe it gets back down to these levels back in around here. Maybe even lower than that. That would bring us to about $53,000 Bitcoin. So, it still is anybody's guess. The thing we do know, though, sell everything when. And guys, these are metrics that really kind of denote when FOMO is in the space, when Coinbase is number one on the App Store, when you see crypto news on Instagram, random TikTokers are trading meme coins. That's a great one. I saw that. I remember seeing that in 2021 and people sending me these. I'm like, this is garbage. Everyone around you is speaking about crypto in grocery stores, in the gym, etc. People are texting you for advice, and everyone is making money. These are signs of a top. So we've got to be very, very savvy of this. And, I've learned my lesson the hard way. I'm not round tripping my crypto. So again, you guys know where to follow me if you want to see what I'm doing this time around. Going to continue on, guys. Brad Garlinghouse saying U.S. small businesses and veterans embody resilience and opportunity. Apparently, Ripple did just fund a commitment to Axion Opportunity Fund. Okay, they committed $25 million in RLUSD. This is to Hire Heroes USA, bringing over $50 million to U.S. philanthropies in 2025. So this funding is going to expand access to capital for underserved small business owners and create career pathways for veterans and military spouses. So a great charitable act here. It will also equip entrepreneurs with digital payment tools so communities across the U.S. can thrive in today's rapidly evolving economy. This marks Ripple's second $25 million donation this year. So they have in total donated $50 million. So it says here are some statistics. Nearly half of American workforces generate about 43.5% of the nation's GDP. And accessing capital is not easy. At the same time, of the 16 million veterans currently living in the United States, roughly 200,000 transition to civilian life each year, with 80% doing so without employment lined up. So that is a tough go for some of these veterans. Here's a quote: "Small businesses and veterans are two of the most powerful engines of American progress, yet both face barriers that limit their full economic impact." That's a quote from Brad Garlinghouse. Through our $25 million commitment to Axion Opportunity Fund and Hire Heroes USA, we're delivering funding, training, and resources required to help these communities grow, compete, and lead in the next chapter of our digital economy. And, this is all great. Getting Ripple in the headlines, I know it almost, I'm not saying it's self-serving, but it is good to see that crypto is being used for good. These crypto companies, they're not just out there for themselves. It does provide some positive optics for the crypto community. I know, government and many people actually still have a very negative view on cryptocurrencies and companies related to cryptocurrencies. So, it is good that Ripple is getting out there and supporting our vets. So I wanted to thank Brad Garlinghouse for posting that. And then there's the ETFs. Of course, there's the price, the thing that I think we all have in common, XRP price going to the moon, or at least moving up from here. And we were thinking, at first through these ETFs, considering these companies have to hold ETFs, that would hopefully mean that that would translate to more price activity as per Crypto Eddie here. However, guys, we're finding out that might not, in fact, be the case. Nevertheless, we have this news here from Chad Steingraber. The Rex Osprey will hold at 80% of the fund in actual XRP through its subsidiary in the Cayman Islands. So, guys, they are going to be holding 80% of its net assets, plus any borrowings for investment purposes in the reference asset and other assets that provide exposure to the reference asset. So they're going to be holding XRP. This may not, it still may not be enough to get these prices up and going. I think if we do see a pump, we're going to see it based on the FOMO. The remaining 20% is expected to invest in any one or more of the following cash investments, and then he gives a few examples there. I think it's going to be a bit of a perfect storm. We do need to see kind of everything coalesce. It's the ETFs, it's the FOMO, it's the real world utility, it's more activity on the XRP ledger, it's speculators, it's a whole whack of things. It's macro tailwinds too. It's going to be a lot of things, guys, that get XRP price up higher. And so with regards to the ETFs, I mean, when we do see them at scale, that could be a different story here. Rob Cunningham posting this. He asked ChatGPT to forecast an XRP price target based solely on 17 billion in new ETF price demand. So eventually we are going to see this. We're not going to see it all at once, but eventually we could see this down the road. Second, he asked ChatGPT to add in FOMO factors, considering regulated banks, stockbrokers, registered investments, advisors, and retail. And so the framework, the float available, 5 billion XRP, outside Ripple escrow, corporate sovereign treasuries and commitments, and then inflows, 17 billion over 12 months. So again, this could be over the next year. This means ETF inflows alone would try to buy more than 100% of a float at a starting price, which is mechanically impossible without a higher clearing price. If buyers commit 17 billion, and must secure real XRP. That means at $3, they could purchase about 5.7 billion, but the float is capped at 5 billion, so shortage triggers repricing. In practice, many holders won't sell cheaply. This is the other thing you have to remember. We're not going to sell when the price goes down. Simply, supply is inelastic, higher bids are needed. Order book depth is thin, so these are all real factors that could play into this. So when we look at sensible target ranges here, guys, based on ETF flows in other scarce assets, so we've got other assets that we can pull information from, like gold and Bitcoin. Price doesn't just creep. It reprices to a level where large buyers can transact without draining float. Based linear estimates, so all float liquid, we're looking at $3.40. Moderate inelasticity, we're looking at $8 to $15 per coin. And then high inelasticity, only 10 to 15% of float actually trades. That's about $20 to $35. So in conclusion, he says, a $17 billion inflow, versus about $5 billion in float, almost guarantees price above $3. Conservative target, we're looking at 8 to 12, and aggressive but plausible $20 to $30 per coin. In extreme stress cases, guys, we could look upwards to over $50 per coin. So the final takeaway here, ETFs don't just absorb liquidity, they institutionalize demand. And so, again, this is at scale. It might not happen right away, and he's suggesting within the next 12 months. But at scale, guys, this is, in fact, what we could see eventually. With $17 billion committed, researchers should view double-digit XRP pricing as a realistic equilibrium target with upside risk if retail and treasuries refuse to sell. And then he goes on to another scenario down here. I will link this in the description of the video if you guys are interested. This next scenario brings up XRP upwards of 3 digits. But, I think all things considered, we do have to be realistic for this particular bull run. And, the institutions, they're realizing where Ripple is going with this. This is Dan Morehead on CNBC just the other day. Listen to this.
We've had huge positions in Ethereum in the past. We used to be 100% Bitcoin. Something could come out tomorrow.
Is there anything out there, though, that's interesting to you? The reason I ask is I would hope that, Solana was created many years ago. Ethereum was created many years ago. Bitcoin was created many, many years ago.
Yeah.
I would like to think that technology and technologists have come up with better solutions since then.
Well, Solana could do, I think, 9 billion transactions a day, which is more than all capital markets combined. So
right.
It's not obviously need the next thing past Solana.
So you think it just doesn't matter?
Yeah, and there might be other use cases, other, like Ripple's going after Swift, Bitcoin's digital gold. There's several different major use cases, but Solana's very good at the performant blockchain.
I'm sure you guys caught that.
Like Ripple's going after Swift.
Ripple is going after Swift. Just another use case there, and another fact being mentioned here on CNBC by Pantera Capital founder Dan Morehead. And remember, Brad Garlinghouse did say by 2030, Ripple will have about 14%, or XRP will be conducting about 14% of Swift's business. So, guys, the future is looking very bright for XRP and for many other cryptocurrencies. We just have to be on the right side of the trade. And for more information on how I'm treating this spec bull run, because right now we're still in spec, that could change at any moment, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. I know some of you guys are interested in the merchandise. I've got some cool Working Money Channel merch if you guys are interested in maybe supporting the channel in a different way. Every little bit counts, and I do appreciate every single time somebody purchases some Working Money Channel merch from the merch store. Link is in the description of the video. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.